Well, good morning. My name is Eric Dellenbach, and I have the honor of serving the governor as the Faith and Community Liaison to the governor for the state of Florida. It is so great. I mean, honestly, so great to be with each of you today. I want to first say thank you for taking time to be with us. Today, we're joined by caseworkers, CPIs, judges, frontline people in the child welfare system, and faith and community leaders. And we recognize that everyone right now has such busy schedules, and so it means even more to us that you've taken time to be with us for what we believe is a very large special announcement from our state. And it's going to be a fun day for us. And before I go too far, I want to kick off our time together with a prayer, as this is a faith and community leader event. So I recognize there's people of every different faith on this call right now, and I would ask that you just join me according to your own faith. God, we thank you. We thank you that you have no rival, no equal, that you are good and that you care deeply about these children of our state. And God, I thank you for the people that are on this call. I thank you for their hearts for these children, for these vulnerable families. I thank you for the opportunity for us to gather together. And my prayer for today's call is that there be a lot less made of us and a lot more made of you and a lot more made of the children and families of our state. Lord, we pray through abundance and expectance, Lord, amen. Well, these calls are always awkward. I'll be honest with you. I get in front of these things and I wish I could see your faces, quite frankly, and you'll see my friends in a second. We wish we were with you. We would much rather be in person than on this call. But at the same point in time, I'm super excited because today I have friends. So I'm not alone in front of my computer, and you'll hear from both of these two incredible people shortly. But first, I want to tell you that in 2019, the Governor Ron DeSantis, formed the Governor's Faith and Community-Based Initiative. That's a big deal. I hope you've known that's a big deal. It's a big deal for a few reasons. One, it tells you that it's a priority to him and his administration to make sure that the voice of the faith and community organizations around our state is heard. And secondly, he wants to have an open pipeline of communication. And that's exactly what we did. Last August was we simply set out to say thank you and open a pipeline of communication between us and the faith institutions. Who knew what would happen in February? But in February, we found that having that open pipeline of communications really gave us great insight. Many of you know the governor's done many, many calls with the faith leaders and has really had the back. I hope you felt this too, had the back of the faith and community organizations in our state, been behind them, and allowed us to be a state that is recongregating instead of reopening. And so as we kick off this call today, we're joined by so many special people. We're going to hear from Chris Tomlin and Tony Dungy and the Secretary of the Department of Children and Families. But at this time, it is my honor and privilege to introduce someone who's become a great friend. And I would say it this way: if you're going to ever make change, you have to have someone at the top be truly passionate and authentically involved in carrying what you're trying to accomplish. And that's what you have. You have in this lady, the First Lady, Casey DeSantis, you have a woman who is dedicated and passionate to serving the needs of the vulnerable children and families of our state. And honestly, I'm sitting in your home, this beautiful governor's
waiting for three small children to go through the door and tear all of this beautiful equipment to the floor.
Well, that could happen.
It could any second, so just be prepared.
That would make an exciting call. But in the interim, we're so honored to be in your home and have you with us. And again, I wish that every person on this call knew what I knew about your authenticity towards this. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for inviting me. And it awesome. Truly is an honor to be a part of this initiative. I think something that a lot of people would argue has never been done in our state before, and it's much needed, and I think there's a lot of good that can come from it. So I'm honored and privileged to be with all of you, and I really want to thank you to the Governor's Mansion. That's where we're coming to you live for this roundtable discussion about Florida's child welfare system, because back in March in 2019, the governor and I were here at the Governor's Mansion, and we held a mental health roundtable with a simple yet transformative takeaway and challenge. He really tasked this administration to bring everybody to the table, not to work in silos. And we are here today building off of the governor's call on that action and that vision. And over the past year, Secretary Popple and his team at the Department of Children and Families have been working hard alongside a great man, Eric Dellenbach, who is our liaison to the governor's faith and community-based initiative, to really build a new kind of social network. The idea was to bring together faith institutions and community organizations with families in need, families who are on the brink of crisis, or families who are already supporting vulnerable children by fostering or adopting by signing up at myfloridamyfamily.com. Whether it be providing a car seat for a newborn, a ride to a doctor's appointment, or something so simple but so meaningful as cooking a meal for a foster family when a new child comes into their home, you will really make a huge difference to the good people of this state. There are so many wonderful people here who are driven to help others. And I'm not sure I can think of a more worthwhile mission than helping our own communities. The purpose of this meeting really is to discuss how we at the state level can work in coordination with you as community and faith leaders to utilize this new matchmaking system and develop ways to further strengthen the child welfare safety net. So it is an honor and a privilege. The governor and I support this mission more than anything, and we're proud to be here to make a difference.
Thank you so much, First Lady, for those incredibly encouraging and powerful words. We can certainly hear and feel your authentic love and concern and commitment to these vulnerable children and families. We get to transition to a very exciting part of this call where I have the honor to ask two very special guests some simple questions. One of them you'll know as an NFL Super Bowl winning coach, and the other as an award-winning singer-songwriter. But what both men have in common is they're both part-time Floridians. They are major philanthropists, and maybe most importantly, they're both men of faith. So it's so great to be joined today by Coach Tony Dungy and Chris Tomlin. Hi, guys.
Hey, Eric, and I have to tell you, I have to correct you right off the bat. I'm a full-time Floridian. I live here. This is my home, and I'm a warm weather guy all the way.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah, great to talk to you, Eric, and good to be with you, Coach, today.
I can tell you, All Pro Dad, we're so excited to be on this project, teaming up with Casey DeSantis, the First Lady, and just all the foster care and adoptive agencies in Florida, trying to get people to understand the need we have here in the state of Florida to help our young people who need permanent homes.
Of all the things you could be involved in, why is fostering and adoption an important cause to you?
I think it started with my wife Lauren and I together. I can go back 35 years when we first got married and we were wanting to start a family. I'm a young coach in Pittsburgh at the time, and we were in our church, and there was a presentation done. Our pastor took the half of the morning service, and he talked about taking Christ out to the community. Yes, we're taking everything in and we're hearing a lot of good things. What are we going to do? So he has this presentation, and the county, Allegheny County, comes and says, you know what, we've got a need here. We've got kids in foster care, large facilities that need a safe haven. We've got kids who need to be adopted that are waiting. And my wife and I sat there and said, wow, we talk about being Christians, we talk about the love of Christ. Well, now we've got an opportunity to do something. So we signed up and we became certified to be emergency foster care parents. And one day after we signed up, 11 o'clock the next night, we get a call. Hey, there's a crucial situation. They had to remove this young boy out of the home. They'll be coming by to drop him off at our house. And that just showed me how great the need really was. I said, wow, we've been signed up one day and here we're getting a call. And it was so special to kind of just minister to this young man. And that got us started. And it really made me understand this is God's heart. This is what he wants us to do. He wants us to be available. We had resources. We had all the things that we needed. All we had to do was make ourselves available. And to me, that got us started. That was 35 years ago, and we've still been going strong.
Wow. And a piece of cake from there forward, right, Coach?
Well, it's been fun. It's been a blessing. But what had happened, then my wife, Lauren, just gets more and more, well, we need to do this, and we need to adopt, and we need to do this, and we need to bring in more kids. And so we have adopted 8 kids since then. And we're down here in Tampa with 10 kids in the house, basically. And we hear the same type of announcement. Hillsborough County, we've got a shortage of foster care parents. And Lauren says, we need to get certified down here.
This is so special. Just hearing your story, I had not heard it all the way back to 35 years. And it makes so much sense now of the person that, as Eric was saying, the person that you are, in not only in Florida, but in our nation, and how so many people look up to you for so many things. I definitely know why. And I'm so honored, man, to be on this call and to this is special. As Eric said, we could end the Zoom call now. That's all people need to hear. Honestly, it's like so good.
Well, Chris, listen, I know you have an amazing nonprofit, Angel Armies, and that you have been passionate about seeing our country, the United States of America, come to an end in this foster care and adoption crisis. And so I think I'd ask the same question of you. Of all the causes that you've seen and experienced in your career, why foster care and adoption?
Eric, it started with, interestingly, I had a dream about over a decade ago that I've never been able to shake. And I'm just starting out my touring world and touring and all that. And in the dream, it's this moment where I forgot I had a concert. There was a concert I was going to, it was mine, and I forgot about it. And so it's frantic dreams. I'm waking, so I'm stressed out in the dream. I get in the car, I'm flying down the road, trying to get to my concert. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've forgotten. And I get to this red light, and I look over, and there's a stadium filled with people, and it's like a football stadium, and it's filled with people. The band's on stage playing, and I'm just stressed out. I'm like, I'm supposed to be on that stage. They're up there playing, waiting for me. Everybody's filled, and it's paused there, this is hilarious. I've never played a stadium in my life. So in my dreams, I must think I am quite a big deal. So I'm playing this stadium, and it's like massive, and it's filled up, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, my biggest concert ever, and I forgot to go to it. And I'm panicking. I look over to my right at the stoplight, and there's a baby laying in the street in my dream. And I can still see it right now. This is 10 years ago, this dream. But that baby's just laying there. And I keep looking, and in my dream, I'm looking at the stadium, I'm looking at the baby. I'm looking at the stadium, I'm looking at the baby. And inside, I think, even in my dream, I think, how can I go do this concert and leave this baby? And I got out of the car, went and picked up the baby, and held it in my lap. I'm looking at the baby, I'm looking at the stadium, and I wake up. Over the last few years, I've now seen what God is calling me to do, and really taking that baby into the music. And what I mean by that is God's given me this platform. He's given me this microphone around the country with people every night. For most of my life, I've tried to write songs that give people a voice to worship God. And now I'm seeing that I can also be a voice for vulnerable kids as well. So this burning inside of me. So we developed this foundation, this movement, my wife and I, called Angel Armies. And this idea of how can we do something in this space? How can we help? How can we give people something tangible they can hold on to, that they can do? And so, I say it like this, that not all of us are called to, not everybody on this call, or not everybody in the congregations are called to bring in children to their home, but everybody's called to care. That nobody gets out of that. That is part of this, what this faith is about, is caring for the least of these, caring for those who don't have a voice. And with Angel Armies, we're trying to make a way where everybody at any point of intersection can get involved and do something. And when we all do a little bit, it makes a massive, massive difference.
We can't say that we're God's people and God's voice and hear that and not do anything. Almost like your dream. We're sitting there saying, what are we going to do? So in 2000, we adopted a little boy, and he ends up being a special needs baby. And they told us I'm tearing up right now, but they told us he wouldn't live till he was 5 years old because of this condition he had. So the doctor says, what do you guys want to do? My wife says, hey, we're going to take this boy and love him. Well, it became very evident that was God putting the right person with the right family. We had great insurance at that time. We had access to all the best doctors. We ended up going to Johns Hopkins in Baltimore, getting his condition diagnosed. He's 20 years old now. He's going to be a chef. He's loving life. And we knew that was God's hand. So then, of course, my wife says, well, there's got to be more. So now we do 7 more over the next few years because she can't stop. But that's how it started. And we do have this need right here in our state. And we've got to be God's people. We got to be his arms and his legs and his heart.
This is God's heart. I like things that are simple. I'm a simple guy, and we overcomplicate things a lot, especially when it comes to faith. And this is God's heart for his people, and especially for those who He loves. I think this is the gospel in a beautiful way. When you think about what the love of God really means, the gospel really means that we were brought from death to life, from darkness into light. That's all of our stories, the story of redemption, and that's God's heart to His people for all of time. And this is what we were supposed to be about. When I think of James, in the scripture in James, where it says, "What is pure and undefiled before the Lord, but to take care of widows and orphans in their distress." So you want to know what's pure before God? You're like, what does God really want me to do? Everybody wants that to know in their life. He's saying, hey, here's what is really pure before me: is take care of those who cannot speak for themselves. Be the love of God to those people. We are plan A to the world. There's no plan B. We're God's people here to show the love of God. And this is something the government is doing amazing jobs. I mean, they do the best they can. Government's filled with people who want to help, no doubt. And that's the role there. But wouldn't it be amazing if you didn't need government to do this, because the church was stepping up in such a way wouldn't that be amazing? You know, I've talked about this vision for a while, but to change who waits, wouldn't that be an amazing vision across this nation, that it's no longer kids waiting on families, but families waiting on kids? Could you imagine the paradigm shift in our nation? And that would come from the church. And again, to step up and do what only the church can do, and be the light, be the love and the hands and feet of God to this world. And that's what I'm praying for. That's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm giving my life for.
The group has not yet heard of all the tools and resources that Angel Armies has made available to this state. So that's upcoming on the call. But I guess I would say the same thing to you, which is you've looked at this in a holistic approach. You've invested into the state of Florida. And now as we sit on I feel like we're close to maybe the start line, probably in the finish line, but the start line of a lot of these institutions have maybe never, ever been involved in foster care and adoption. What would you say to them?
Well, we're about to be able to do something in Florida that's never been done across the nation. And talking about the third largest state in the nation, and to be a place where I think other states are going to look at and go, wow, how can we bring that to our state? What I mean by that is what you'll hear later is about this idea of how everybody can be involved. And so for me, I'm a songwriter. The last thing I need to do is start another foster agency. That is not what I need to write songs. That's what God's gifted me to do. But I thought, how can I be the microphone? How can I be one thing I feel like I do have a gift for is gathering people. And that's what I do every night on tour. And how can I rally people together to say, hey, we can do this? And so for me, I thought, what could I find some of the very best in class, the people who are doing incredible work, and how do I amplify what they're doing and say, these people are doing incredible work across the country, and what if we put them together in the state of Florida? And this really holistic approach, just like Coach was saying, from giving people, from bringing meals to foster families all the way to adopting and everything in between. How can we bring some of these great organizations that are doing amazing work that can be available to all the faith institutions for free, all the tools, all the resources needed? There's no place at any place where you think I can't jump in. I can't jump in, because there's going to be a place that any institution, any person can jump in and say, I can be involved in that way. And so I'm really excited about this, because this is, again, I've been saying this for the last 2 years on tour, but the church, big C, faith, is the answer to this issue. It is not going to be done through legislature, and it's not going to be done through just passing laws. It's going to be done by loving people, and that's what the church does. That's what we do best. And so I'm so excited. I am so blown away that there's so many leaders of the faith community across Florida that we're getting to talk to. And I just want to encourage you to say, you're doing amazing work. You're doing incredible things, and don't lose heart, and especially in this crazy year of what's gone on. Don't lose heart, but it's worth it what we're doing together, and know that I'm with you guys and want to encourage you in any way I can. And you'll be hearing more about that, but just so honored to speak to you, because we're in this together, and there's nobody I love more than people who are really leading God's people.
This is something that is so big and takes every person. So, I've known you a long time. I mean, ultimately, I don't give empty praise, but I appreciate what you said about the positioning of Florida, because truly it is aligned with a governor who cares, a first lady who has passion, and then a secretary of the Department of Children and Families who launched this faith and community initiative. And so there's moments in time where you guys for 35 years and 20 years have been just in this grind, pushing the rock uphill. And so Florida is equally as honored to be with you in this journey together as we walk along together.
I'm encouraged, man. I'm encouraged by today, Coach. Just I love you and I love everything you're doing. And so just know I'm always cheering you on, just like you cheer me on. And I really appreciate it.
I do. And I love you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you, both of you. Next, maybe very appropriately so, we are honored to be joined by the Secretary of the Department of Children and Families for the state of Florida, Chad Popple. Chad is, as I mentioned, one of the huge reasons this faith and community-based initiative exists, and certainly a major reason we're actually seeing real change in our state. And so with that, I want to welcome Chad Popple.
Thanks, Eric. And I got to be honest, I feel like I could run through a brick wall right now. If that doesn't fire you up, I don't know what will. Everybody that's listening, this has the potential to be huge. This could change the system, and I'll say it a little differently than Chris just did. I want you guys to put me out of business, straight up. Wouldn't that be awesome? It would. Anyway, I'm really fired up right now, and so I want to start by thanking the First Lady and the Governor for hosting us here at the mansion. It's really nice and a very nice touch. But also, Chris and Tony, men that are not just talking it, they're walking it. That is inspirational. The point of my conversation here with you today, I want to be clear. I want to make a meaningful connection between our faith-based community and the folks that need the help on the ground. And to do that, you have to start with an understanding of how we're set up in the state of Florida. And so Florida basically uses community-based organizations, so folks right there where you live, to care for and organize the effort around the families and children that come into the child welfare system. And we're blessed to have Phil Scarpelli with us today from Brevard Family Partnerships. They are the organization in your neck of the woods that takes care of the children that come into the state's oversight. So I'm going to give Philip a chance to introduce himself. I want you guys to know his face because he's the connection point.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. And greetings, one and all. I am Phil Scarpelli. I'm the CEO with Brevard Family Partnership. I certainly want to thank First Lady Casey DeSantis for putting together this absolutely wonderful event and for her relentless commitment to children and families. We're so pleased to partner with passionate leaders like Tony Dungy and Chris Tomlin, both of whom have really stepped up to make a positive impact here in Florida. We appreciate our DCF Secretary, Chad Popple. Thank you, sir. And Eric Dellenbach, the governor's faith and community-based liaison, both of whom have been working hard to build momentum for this initiative. Most importantly, I want to sincerely thank our Brevard faith community. We have a relentless relationship with so many of you already, and we look forward to working with many more of you in the future. I say this with great pride and humility. We are your local hometown connection. We are here for you, and I encourage you to reach out to me and anyone on our team so we can work together. Thank you all for taking a step forward and considering new ways to make a difference in the lives of our children. God bless.
Thank you, Philip. So let's get started. Right now, today, there's 33,000 children in the care of the state of Florida. Right now in your area, Philip is caring for a little over 800 children. These children and their families, they need our help. And so the state has a very robust network where we try to put things together around these families. And what we're asking today is for your help. You guys are the original community-based care organizations. I'm stealing Eric's line. I like to do that. And it's true. And you do have the ability to keep families and children from going deeper and deeper into the DCF system. And that's what I really want. I want those numbers to change. I want there to be so many foster families waiting to take on children in our system. Like he said, we're the ones waiting, not the children. And our options are limitless, and we can make sure that we have a great match between a foster family and a child. So how do we do that? I used the word meaningful connection earlier. And so what you're going to learn about today from Eric is we've spent the better part of the last 2 years putting together a framework for you to plug into. And this framework, I like to use the example. If one of our investigators is in a house and there's a hole in the roof and there's mold on the walls, and we're about to have to remove a child for that situation, wouldn't it be nice before we do that, or before we go and essentially have to, kind of marshal state resources, wouldn't it be nice if a church in the area was able to say, hey, we can take care of that. We'll get that fixed by next Wednesday. We'll get the walls cleaned. You don't have to worry about that child's environment. That's the kind of connection we're going to talk about. And we have put that framework together. And I like to tell the story because it means a lot. When I got hired, the governor called me. It's one of the big moments of your life. And I said, Governor, what would you like for me to focus on? What do you want me to get accomplished as Secretary of DCF? One of the first things that came out of his mouth was, hey, Chad, I've been around the state and I've talked to faith leaders, from Miami all the way to Pensacola. They feel like the state has been closed off to help from the church. I need you to let them know that the door is open. It was a powerful moment, and it set in motion really a lot of what we're talking about today. But it also made me think right away of the man sitting to my right here, Eric Dellenbach. I've known Eric for a long time, and God has done a lot through Eric. To his credit, he doesn't take credit for all of it. But, the thing I thought about right away was in his time at the Tim Tebow Foundation, as he was head of that organization, they launched Night to Shine. It's a special needs prom. And the mission is simple. Shouldn't we honor these folks, these special needs people in our community, and make them feel special, at least for one night, where everything's about them and they feel like a movie star. I don't know if you've ever seen pictures taken from some of the Night to Shine proms. It's amazing. That initiative started small and, took off. It is now international. They have these special needs proms all over the world. And so you see the power of a good idea, a person with a vision, and what can happen when the faith-based community says, yes, that's important to me. It takes off like wildfire. And so I am truly, truly excited about today, and I'm excited about where we're going. So Eric, I'm going to kick it back to you, sir.
Well, thank you, Secretary. I appreciate the kind words. And you know that I say this, I think I have the best job in the state. At the end of the day, I get to represent the First Lady and the Governor to faith institutions and community organizations, but I also get to represent the voice of faith and community back to you. And quite frankly, not to make this a praise session, but I want you to know that much like I said about the First Lady, if you're not willing to change things, none of this works. And so you've heard me say often that one of the greatest compliments I can give you is that there was nothing at the Department of Children and Families that you were not willing to look at and see if we were doing it best. And where we didn't, I think we did some fixing. And so I just thank you for that time, and I thank you for being here today and your passion for following the governor's vision as well of opening the doors back up to the faith communities. I don't think that the Secretary, myself, the First Lady, Chris, Tony, I don't think we're doing anything that's revolutionarily new. I think we're just putting it together in a different way and trying to amplify it as much as possible. And why I think that's important to mention right now is because there's so many people whose shoulders we stand on today. I mean, as we look at what we're doing, Coach Tony Dungy's saying that he's 35 years, 8 adopted children, right? I mean, how do I look at someone like that? I got the perfect answer to foster care, and he's not going to take that seriously. But at the same point in time, I think if I say, look, we're looking to collaboratively come along with all the people who are already doing this and be thankful for the shoulders that we get to stand on, I think we can really make change. And just as I say that, I mean, there are so many people that have been in that system. One of our friends, Kurt Kelly, is not on the call today, but he might be on the call today. He's not speaking today, but runs the Florida Coalition for Children. Has been a champion for the Secretary and I in this process. And so there's just so many shoulders that we stand on in this moment. And what I want to share with you as we move into this time of the call is I want to have a get real time where we're real honest, right? And then I want to transition into actionable steps that can actually bring about change. I would also add at this point to say, DCF can bring change, state government can bring change, but we're looking for something deeper. We're looking for something called transformation, and transformation will come through you, our faith and community organizations. So to kind of get you there, I got to go back a ways and say that in 2019, when the governor started the Governor's Faith and Community-Based Initiative, and I came on board, I said, well, what's the first priority? And it was thank the faith and community organizations for what they're currently doing and ask if they would be willing to hear from us. And so I sent out a letter, 41,000 to be exact, 41,000 letters to faith and community organizations saying, thank you. And would you tell us a little bit about who you serve? And I gave them a website, www.faithandcommunityflorida.com. I know it's long, faithandcommunityflorida.com. And if you have not signed up there, please, please, please do, because we use it to invite for things like this. We use it for calls with the governor's office. We use it for a lot of things. You'll see it on the screen. And people would click that button, connect with us now. And when they clicked that button, there'd be 21 vulnerable population groups would pop up on the screen. And we said, which ones of these are you passionate about and currently serving? And we got results. We got 4,000 results to be exact. So this little survey I want to show you shows what 4,000 faith institutions say are the priorities to their congregation. Now, no shock on hunger and homelessness being 1 and 2. I would tell you, I would like you to be shocked with me, borderline stunned on where adoption falls out of the 21, that out of 21 vulnerable population groups, the second to least served in our state from our faith and community organizations is adoption, and 7th to least is foster care. Look, one of the best parts of my job is I don't teach anyone anything. I don't teach faith leaders how to love children in vulnerable families, right? I mean, if you thought that's what I was trying to do, you have missed the point. I know it's already embedded in your heart. You care deeply about our children and our vulnerable populations, but then why is it? And it led me to one of two questions. Is it either that all the people in the faith world that say we love children and vulnerable families, are they lying? Which I know is not true. Or have we as a state done such a poor job of allowing the door to be open and allowing you to come alongside us in unique ways that fit you? And so that's what we're going to talk about today. Is I started going around the state. I've got a bunch of friends in the faith and community world. And I started saying, why are you not involved? And it came down to 4 main answers. And I'm going to talk about those 4 and tell you how we're trying to answer them. 1, they did not like our first impressions. They did not like that interested foster parents would call and maybe be met with an unanswered phone call or a voicemail that never got returned or whatever it was. They didn't like that. And secondly, we heard your licensing system is long, it's cumbersome, it's over the top. And third, we heard ultimately you always ask us the same question. Doesn't matter the size of the faith or community organization, but you always ask the same question: will you raise up foster and adoptive families? Well, that doesn't fit everybody, which is a no-brainer. And so we were told, one pastor said it this way, because I love the visual. He said, you're asking us to climb a ladder, but you're only putting the top rung on the ladder and saying the hardest thing you need us to do is the only thing you need us to do. And so we'll talk about that in a second. And then finally, I told you I'd keep it real. One of the major things is faith institutions saying to us, we don't agree with the state on what a family is. And we don't agree with who should be able to take kids. And I'm even going to touch that one. So I want to hit all those points today and just share with you how you can take home tangible steps for your congregation, for your institution. So let's start with poor negative first impressions. Probably something that makes the secretary squirm, quite frankly, because obviously you don't want to invite a bunch of people over to your house and then lock the front door right before they get there. And I think we were doing that. And so what we have launched about 10 weeks ago is Florida's Foster Information Center, the FFIC. Sometimes we call it the First Impression Center. And what that is it is a group of people hired by the Department of Children and Families to answer the phone and say thank you and help guide through the process. So if you've got someone in your congregation right now that's interested in fostering, I can tell you with 100% confidence they will call that number and they will either get picked up or returned immediately. In 10 weeks, we've had thousands of phone calls and 4 have went to voicemail. So we fixed the front door. And you know what we fixed it with? A model of customer service somewhere between Disney and Chick-fil-A that is run exclusively in our state by current or past foster parents. Every person that answers the phone is either a current or past foster parent. And guys, I think, honestly, I'm I think after today, and I'm not trying to be cute, I think after today, it'll be taken by other states and done the same because it's that good. And so we changed the front door. Secondly, as it relates to licensing, we're all competitive. First Lady, myself, Secretary are competitive. And we said, what states are doing licensing better and how? And so the Secretary took a team, Patty Medlock, and said, can you please go find out why and how? And she took her team and analyzed every state that we were told does it better. And we took pieces of what they do, but we found out we're one of the best in the country. And I can confidently sit in front of you as a non-state person and say, I'm telling you, let me tell you this, the FFIC, we haven't said this yet, the FFIC in 10 weeks already had 2 families call within the last 10 weeks and be fully licensed today. The system's changing, right? What you know of the DCF system is changing. Third, what we're going to spend a little bit of time on is this idea that we've always asked the same question over and over again, even though we don't recognize it's not one size fits all. And that's where the My Florida, My Family initiative comes in. You've heard a little bit about it. Here's the webpage on your screen. It is for certain, there's many different people. It's kind of a one-stop shop for foster care in our state. I'm going to go across the top and just talk through the bars and then really spend some time on the last one. There's an I Need Help section that if somebody is a vulnerable person in our state, they can visit that section and they can get help on a Yelp social services type piece. There's an I Want to Foster piece that leads you to the FFIC. There's an I Want to Adopt piece that leads you to information on adoption. And then I'm probably going too fast for them clicking through it. Sorry. And then there is the I Am a Faith Institution part. As if you're a faith institution on this call, man, I hope you recognize that this governor, and I'm not political, I'm really not even remotely political, but I've watched over COVID what he has done to have the back of the faith institutions and keeping them open and allowing them to congregate at their own desire with their own plans and not being in the way because he believed it was important. And he did. He stood behind that. And now we have a website that is giving tools and resources to the faith and community organizations of our state. And why? Because there's 20,000 faith institutions in our state that represent about 16.5 million people and can bring about real change. And so the last part I'm going to share with you is we have created a menu. When you enter your information here, a menu will come up on the bottom. It is 8 different ways for you to become involved in child welfare. The only thing you can do wrong is do nothing. Other than that, you can pick anyone that you want on here, and I'll roll through them real quickly. But before I do, I think it's important to note that all of these are services being offered by 5 national nonprofits that are being funded exclusively, well, almost exclusively by Angel Armies, Chris Tomlin's foundation, and being given for free to you as faith and community organizations. They're there. They're available. They're ready. And so just real quickly, if you start at the bottom, certainly if you can raise up foster and adoptive families, we would love for you to do that. If you can't do that, we'd love for you to consider working with becoming a foster and adoptive friendly church and allowing us to give you the resources, sermons, small groups. Maybe you're a temple, a synagogue. It doesn't matter. We want to give you resources to become foster and adoptive friendly. Maybe you want to be involved in helping with the trauma that has happened in these kids' lives, deep, deep trauma, and that's where your faith institution wants to become involved. Or maybe you want to offer classes to the biological parents while the kids are in foster care. Or potentially you want to offer wraparound support services to your existing foster and adoptive families. Time out. Okay, right here. Can I get the screen for a second? Okay, right here. So please know in your congregations who your foster and adoptive families are. Someone said to me that these are our domestic frontline missionaries. These are the people who are standing in the gap for the Department of Children and Families, for the Department of Juvenile Justice, for the Department of Corrections, and for those of you who are like, I really want to figure out how to be involved in human trafficking, help in the foster care system. And so please know who they are. Please pray for them and allow us to give you resources to teach you how to wrap around them. And if you didn't want to do that, okay, we've got marketing material that you can show on your jumbotrons and bulletins and emails. And if you don't want to do that, we have an app that's been talked about a couple times already from the distance today, but an app that has real-time needs entered by caseworkers and child protective investigators that will be put in front of you, and you can press, I want to meet that need, and you can begin to meet that need in your community. I need a bunk bed. I need a car seat. Things that will keep a child from being removed. The secretary said to me one time, the state cannot show love and compassion. And we deal from crisis to the end of crisis. You know where the faith institutions exist? The beginning, the middle, and the end, showing love and compassion on all 3 fronts. And finally, if none of that fits you, which I'd like to have a separate discussion to know why, but if none of that fits you, we'd like you to consider bringing meals to new foster and adopted parents. And I'll end with this. I don't care what part you become part of. I don't care if you all sign up to do just meals, because we believe that you will never be able to unsee what you've seen. And we believe change will happen for the children of our state if you choose one of these to be involved in. And so that's all we ask. we ask that I want every faith institution on this call, it's my only goal, and every community organization to go on this thing and tell us just one you'll start with. There's no perfect one. Start with anyone you want, and we'll be thrilled. That's it. And I hope you see it as good, easy, actionable items. And to close out our call, again, I'm going to turn it over to the First Lady, and I want to thank you again for your time of being together today.
It's a privilege for me to be here. I am very humbled in this capacity to be able to speak to you directly, to try to work again through the governor's message from the very beginning. Don't work in silos. We need to collaborate. And he's right. And so we've done that at a state level, and then extrapolating that down to working with our communities. And then again, if everybody is working in their own silo, we need to get everybody on the same page and then have a general direction that we want to go, measure it, and make sure that we have outcomes. And positive outcomes means happy lives and a great future for our children in this state. And I think it is so neat with this app and this website and the care portal, where you can go on and something as simple as cooking a meal and delivering it. And just think not only how good that makes you feel, right, cooking, but also just think about how good it makes you feel to deliver that. And then the message it sends. I mean, the lasagna is just one thing, right? You talked about the baked ziti and the lasagna. It's just one thing. But then to have somebody show up at your doorstep, and you are a foster parent, and to see that there's somebody who cares about what I'm doing, because, I'm a mom of 3 kids, but I'm very blessed. I'm very, very, very blessed. And I know there's a lot of people who have it very, very hard out there, and it is hard to be a mom, but if you have somebody showing up with a thing of lasagna, it's just going to make it that much easier. And if that is the minimal that you can do, which is a big deal, I think it's going to be a game changer across the state. And so I just really encourage you guys to embrace it, and to sign up and to find ways that you're going to help. And then, we talk about being there. A year from now, we want to have one of these calls again. And we want to not only talk about the progress that we're seeing, but we also want to start sharing the stories of success. And we want to start bringing some of these families on. And we want to start sharing the stories of the kids who are succeeding and doing great things and are now our ambassadors and can go take our place and do these Zoom calls. So we don't have to, although I enjoy it very much, but they're the ones we're fighting for, and we should give them the platform to be able to talk about how this changed their lives. And so I leave you with a couple of messages, twofold, really. One, this initiative, if this is something that you believe that your congregation or group can really rally behind, you can go to My Florida, My Family. Again, want to give that website, myfloridamyfamily.com. You can sign up there. Once you do that, the needs will start coming in, and you can really start engaging in these families, with these families. Another request is you spread the message about how Florida needs more loving, strong foster and adoptive families. DCF has developed a toolkit if you need it, with things like bulletin messages, social media posts, videos, slides, digital, all for your digital displays. The toolkit also has customizable portions of it that you can use, again, by going to that website, My Florida, My Family, use with some of their projects, and you can find it right at the bottom of the website. And so I want to give a very special thank you, of course, to Tony and Chris for helping to amplify this message. Their stories are amazing. Their hearts are of gold. Their organizations are wonderful, and they're doing great things to help Florida's youth. And we're honored to have them working with us in this project. And I'm really hopeful, again, that we're going to sit down 1 year from now, and we're going to have great stories of success of how you guys are changing the lives of people throughout this state. So I leave you with this. We have Chris joining us for a song that we feel that is really perfect for this movement. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us, and God bless you all.
Oh, I heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are. I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. You are perfect. It's who you are. I'm loved by you. It's who I am. It's who I am. It's who I am. God bless you guys.